Good morning. Hi, I am Jezebel Gilmore. I am the Chief Commercial Officer and a co-founder of Packet Fabric. I'm also a proud member of NANOG, and I've been for many years. Today, I want to talk about growing up with NANOG and the gift that is the NANOG community and what it had helped me with in my life and how I've benefited from being a part of this community. So a legend, a personal icon hero to me, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, has once said that if you want to be a true professional, you will do something outside yourself. So from my perspective, I have always wanted to be a better person. I don't know about you. If we were in a physical audience, I'd ask how many of you want to be a better person. From my perspective, the meaning, and just like Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg had said, of life is not for oneself, but for one's community. And something that I want to say is that we all want to be a better version of ourselves because that is human nature. And something as we start our discussion, I want to remind every one of you that so many of us are working so hard to be a better version of ourselves that we forget we're already beautiful. And just by putting in the work in trying to satisfy our desire in being better is a huge step forward. And I want to say that something I learned in yoga, which I'm really not that great at, but just showing up at the top of the mat is more than half the battle. We can often find satisfaction in the way we help each other to achieve our goals. And that is really more than half the battle in becoming a better version of yourself. So in exploring for this talk, I was trying to figure out, what makes NANOG great. So I was thinking that NANOG's a community. What is a community? So I looked up the definition, and apparently it's a really old word. It highlights commonness, everybody. And from Wikipedia, part of this community, it says that a feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing something in common. So what do we have in common at NANOG? Love for bacon, sushi, the latest gadgets, faster routers, or bigger ports. I know some of you may be laughing. But really, when I dig down deep, I realized that it's the love for the internet. So what is the internet? I'm not going to read you what I've put on this slide, but the internet is a system that relies on the kindness and trust of everyone, especially here. The internet didn't have a business plan. It did not have a CEO. It's not expecting returns from anyone. And something that I truly want to highlight here is that in a comment that Professor Jonathan Zittrain of Harvard told BBC about NANOG, which is something that I think is the most fitting description of NANOG that I've found, is that we are a team of volunteers, unpaid, unauthorized, and largely unknown to most people, were brought into action. And it's like the bat signal that goes up, and the Batman answers. Random acts of kindness, of unsung heroes that quietly keeps the net working together. This is something he said after the 2008 Pakistan and YouTube incident. I think many of you still remember. The people come together from a feeling of fellowship with others that they may or may not be able to physically touch or meet in person, that yet share a common attitude, interest, and goal. To gain the sense of community is what internet really is. Our ability to help the world connect and form communities. I think it's kind of ironic that the internet itself is a community to help form communities around the world, and it's held together by a powerful community of misfits. And that's ourselves. When I say that, I have this image in my head. I know that we don't all look like that, but I think of us as the unsung heroes, the people behind the scenes, keeping the internet running, and making communities possible. And now I've talked about a little bit about what I think NANOG is. I also want to talk about what is my first impression of NANOG and how I got started. We can only look forward when we know our history. When I started with NANOG, I was a young operator. My first time at NANOG, I thought, oh my God, these people like to argue. And they're not afraid to tell it like the way it is. Sometimes it's really, really rough to hear. But they are the people who are in the trenches. We are the people who are in the trenches. We're not just doing something that's hypothetical. You know, it's not written, it's doing, it's making it happen right now. The people are real. They may be a little rough on the edges, and they may tell you things that's tough to hear, but they're real people that's affecting changes around the world. Something that I learned as part of the community, being conscientious, always trying to do the right thing, even when it is hard. And I think that's a great reflection of them saying things that I wish that I were smart enough or quick enough. I don't know about you, but how often do you wish that you had come up with a response while you were in the discussion that were clever, or even really courageous enough to say? There were many times that I'm sitting in the great hall in the main session of NANOG, wishing that I could say what's on my mind at the speaker, to stand up and ask the question. As I get older, I'd say that I wish I had done that more. I'd implore you to go and do that as well. The courageous of others inside the NANOG community had shown me it's okay to go ask questions, even when you're unsure what other people may think. And most importantly, that I found from our community is that people are willing to help each other. And they helped, so many people have helped me without expectations of return. They may laugh and say, all right, buy me a drink, or anything. But really, in reality, there were no expectations of return for the help they've given me. Overall, everybody in our community care about more than just themselves. They care about this great thing that we call the internet and our community. And so I would say that what can you do? Be the community. Follow the discussion. There's lots of discussions going on around the community about the technology, the policy, the politics, the people. So much. Be a part of the discussion. Don't be afraid to participate. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Sometimes it takes that one piece to fall into place for you to truly understand what everybody else is talking about, because you missed it or you just didn't know. It happened to me a lot. And don't be afraid and be open-minded, because not everybody is going to agree with you or you agree with everyone else. Be open-minded and agree to disagree. Share your ideas, because sometimes your ideas is great. Sometimes maybe it isn't, but without sharing it, you will not know it. That requires you to step out of your comfort zone. And I have to say, that is a hard one. It is so much easier said than done. And even as I sit here to talk to you about being a part of the community, I'm trying to show you and lead by example in stepping out of my comfort zone, because I hate public speaking and I really am not very good at it. Sometimes you have that buzz in your head when you start to feel nervous. I might have that right now. But push yourself, push your boundaries, step out of your comfort zone. That's how we all grow. And volunteer. Help others be a part of the community. Help others to learn the value of the community. And so we can all evolve for the better. And sometimes you got to ask yourself, what can I do that someone else can't? And often that answer is not really that much of anything. But however, if you always have the expectation, well, somebody else can do it better, so somebody else will do it for us, then you end up with Taco Bell being the best Mexican restaurant in the United States. So do something and express your own authentic self. So I'm going to come and talk about myself and how I grew up in this community a little bit, to help you understand how it helped me and how it had helped me accept myself. So I was just a small young operator in the community, and I always thought, oh, people who are successful, who are big, who are experts in areas are the ones that should be contributing. What have I got? Not much, right? And so I've been participating in the community, listening quietly. I always thought that others have better things to say than I did, because I didn't quite accept me for who I am, for my capabilities. My voice carried weight as well. Just because that other people have something good to say doesn't mean that I don't. And the more that you stand up for yourself, the more confidence you will gain. I started as a volunteer in the community when NANOG became NUNOG. And we had some financial challenges as a community. And I love the community so much. And I had so many friends in the community that I've built over the years. I wanted the community to continue. So I thought, well, maybe I can help do an outreach program, be a part of the sponsorship committee, and help the NANOG to raise funds and self-sponsorship to become sustainable and self-sustaining. That's when I first started as part of the community, the committees in volunteering. What I learned being a part of the sponsorship committee is it's so much harder than it is, than so much harder done than said, because I was not very good at asking other people for money. I really never felt that was a thing, but I felt so strongly about the community and NANOG that I was willing to step out of my comfort zone to help it, to help make sure that we were self-sustaining. I went to large companies that are potential sponsors and spoke to them about the value of being a part of the community and part of the sponsorship. What I was able to do is to speak from heart because I felt it and I knew what it had done for me, and I wanted to express that to others. But moreover, as I was raising funds for NANOG, I realized that I was able to communicate in this fashion better than I thought I could. And the more I did it, the better I got. And not only I was able to raise funds, but I was able to listen to what others have to say in return and how they wanted to see the sponsorship evolve and what value it could bring for them. So I worked with the staff of NANOG and the board to help shape the new sponsorship programs. Back then, we have much better ones even now today, to build better sponsorship programs for the sponsors of our community. They're also a part of the community. They make it possible. And guess what I learned from that? I learned that maybe I can do more than just being an operator. I can explain the value of what I'm trying to do and what my fellow engineers are trying to do. I can become a conduit between the engineering and the buyers, the business side of NANOG and our community. And thus it helped and led me into becoming or stepping into the next stage in my life from an operator, becoming someone in the business development side of my personal career. And just to be honest, I thought long and hard about being in business development because that sometimes that's considered sales, and it is. And I always thought that is a position that people looked down onto. Engineers don't sell. But NANOG helped me realize that I was good at it. I had to accept through the process of growing up with NANOG that I am good at business development. I can do more than just being an engineer and being on the operation side of the business. And all of that contributes to the belief of something bigger than just ourselves. And along the way, not only that I was helped by so many others, I realized that by helping others, that it had created a greater return for me. And from volunteering on the committees, I went on to become a board member of NANOG, 2 consecutive terms. And that helped me gain incredible perspective to see the bigger picture, to understand what others need. And hear what they are looking for from this community and stand up for something that I cared about greatly, whether that is NANOG as a community or is a fellowship program for Abba Huja, a great personal friend who had passed away, that helping women in networking by providing some resources from the great NANOG community. So I would say that although that I gave some of my time and effort to NANOG, I got a lot more in return because it had pushed me to advance to the next stages of my career. And something that I also want to talk about is learning to push my boundaries while others pushed me, because people, friends within the community, every day help me to understand that I can be better. Sometimes it's really hard to learn that lesson, that community tells you like how it is. It's hard. And so I would encourage you to do all of that by participating and volunteering with NANOG. Here's some things that you can find the NANOG website, working together for a better internet of tomorrow, a community built on openness, authenticity, and collaboration with eye on equality. And here in the NANOG community, we learn to be accepting, and we are accepted by each other. And in a community that we have, this great community that we have, we learn that life is about others, and we need others to better understand ourselves, and they help us to become better versions of ourselves. So lastly, I leave you with something that I recently read. I'm not religious. I'm not trying to push any religion on anyone, but what I want to highlight here is that we're all born to help each other, no matter how difficult it is. Life is good when you're happy, and much better when others are happy because of you. And how do we find happiness? Compassion is really what I think is the most important. And compassion is a relationship between equals. And at NANOG, we find each other, doesn't matter what we do, to be equals. And we find our own darkness and we get to know it. We help each other explore that, those challenges, and in becoming better versions of ourselves. And then we can be there for each other. Please, I ask you at the end of today to do something for someone else so they can be happy because of you. And thank you, and thanks to the NANOG community for giving me the opportunity to share my experience with NANOG and my joy from this community.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for recounting your experiences. I think it resonates with a lot of us. And as for me, I think the big takeaway is that even though we are very technical, being the engineers and geeks that we are in our professional lives, having that business acumen to be able to translate that idea or the the talent that we have into the next big thing, I think that's equally vitally important. Let's see if we have any questions coming in from the audience. Yeah, please feel free to type in anything that you would like to ask her. But for me, as you've seen those changes coming across over the years, which direction do you think we are headed in terms of bringing in new people, infusing, invigorating the core membership base of our audience?
Well, over the years, I've seen a lot of changes at NANOG. There were a time when I thought 350 attendees at a NANOG was an enormous conference. And I think in February this year, when we had our last in-person conference, we had well over 1,000 attendees. So the community is growing, and it's maturing. In addition to being the unsung heroes behind the internet, there are so many other businesses that's heavily dependent on what the networking industry provides as a foundational service. And so as part of that, I think that we're going to be seeing new talent coming in, maybe freshly out of college, maybe just joining the workforce, and moreover, transitioning from other areas of the industry, of technical industry. We're transitioning out into other parts of the supporting industry, into supporting networking, like I have personally, from being an operator into leading the business side of networking. Just because it's business, it's business development, sales, or anything in support, it doesn't mean it's actually any worse. It's not a lower position, or that's not as honorable. So I'm proud of what I do and what I do for the industry, and I think the maturing of the industry is going to continue to expand our community, and we need to be open-minded and accept everyone that wants to be a part of this community.
Thank you so much. And we couldn't have been happier to have you do our keynote presentation. So on behalf of the program committee, thank you very much.